get started being seated. Before we get started, let's make sure we do have that strap, 2 blocks, and possibly a blanket. And Jenny had said something about feeling neck stuff. So we're going to start with a few neck stretches, and then we're going to lay down on our backs. So the first thing I would like you to do is just sit up on a block, a blanket, anything that feels good to you, and you'll just feel comfortable here. And then we're just going to find and see how we're doing. So go ahead and soften the gaze or close the eyes. And I want you to notice what it feels like, first of all, to really root down into your pelvis, into the legs, into the feet, feeling the weight of gravity, just allowing you to settle here. And then notice what it feels like to draw your shoulder blades over the backs of your hips. So it feels like you're more erect and tall through the spine. And then draw your awareness to the backs of your earlobes and see if you can align those over the tops of the shoulders. Draw the awareness to the jaw and see if you can release the jaw away from the eyes so that there's softness there, and find some softness in the mouth and the tongue. And then you might just take 3 or 4 big breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, just allowing yourself to settle here. And as you're continuing to take these deep breaths, allow yourself to notice where in the body you can soften any unnecessary energy, any unnecessary tension. And that might mean that you then start to circle one shoulder or then another. That might mean that you circle both shoulders. It might mean that you start to drop your right ear towards your right shoulder, or left ear towards your left shoulder. And you're just starting to find where you can start to find a little bit more ease in the body so that you can sit here with a sense of comfort and a sense of ease. And you've got about 3 more breath cycles to do whatever the heck you feel like you wish to do at this point. And when you feel complete in your own explorations, go ahead and come back to center, come back to neutral, and just take 3 more breaths. And just notice if you can, again, take those exhales out through the mouth, allowing the body to settle, allowing you to arrive at this moment. And then we'll start to lightly bring one hand onto the heart space and then stack the other hand directly on top of it. And just as we did a couple of weeks ago, I want you to lightly push your hands into your sternum and pull them down just a little bit. And then start to jet your chin forward and then arc it up towards the sky. And as the chin comes forward in our Godfather, got it, Sandy, Godfather type thing, it's almost like a bulldog. The bottom teeth come forward and up, and you'll find this nice stretch happening on the front of your neck. And you'll take a few breaths there, lightly pulling the hands down and away. And then gently you'll come back to center with the head. Take both hands and navigate them slightly to your left shoulder. And then this time you'll arc your right ear towards your right shoulder. And you'll pull down with the hands and maybe separate or draw your jaw forward and away from you. You might then turn your chin up towards the sky or down towards your right shoulder, but you're lightly pulling down with the left hand, feeling a stretch happening on the left side of the neck. And breathing. Go ahead and come to stillness, and then gently draw the head back up to center. Slide the hands over now over to your right shoulder, chest area, and you're pulling down with the hands as you drop your left ear towards the left shoulder. And again, you draw your chin forward and away and maybe up towards the sky, and then maybe you'll draw your chin down towards your left shoulder, but you're just paying attention to what's happening on the right side of the neck. And then very gently, you'll come to stillness and then bring the head back to center. Go ahead and lower the hands and again, check in, maybe taking 3 or 4 breaths here. If you need to take some shoulder circles again, you might do that. Little neck circles again, you might do that. But just notice what it feels like to have started to open up the throat and the front of the throat. And then as we're ready, we're going to gently start to open our eyes and then lie down on our backs. When you find your way on your back, please make sure your strap and or your blocks are somewhere nearby if you'd like them at some point. But you'll find yourself on your back. And we don't need to hold a strap just yet. You'll just lie down on your back. Yep. And the first thing I'd like you to do is bend both of your knees and plant the feet firmly on the floor. And with the feet on the floor about hip distance apart, see if you can let your arms just fall off the body and allow the hands to splay up towards the sky, shoulder blades to come onto the back. And just notice what you notice here in terms of how your head feels on the back of the floor, how the backs of the shoulder blades feel onto the floor, how the back of the pelvis feels, and then the soles of your feet. And we'll come back to this a few times, so just notice what it feels like here. And then without doing too much, I want you to start to push into your heels enough to rock your spine up and down. So that may sound odd, but you'll just push your feet into the floor and it will start to gently rock your spine. So just little gentle rocks. It's not going to be much, but just little gentle rocks. And you're just pushing your feet into the floor and your spine will start to rock forward and back, or rather towards the crown of your head and then down towards your feet. And you'll do that for about 4 or 5 more seconds. Yep. And then let's go ahead and come to stillness there and just let the body reverberate. From here, draw your right knee into your chest. Squeeze the right knee into the chest, and you might just start by taking some circles with the right ankle, noticing what that feels like. Starting to pay attention to your breath as we're here. Be sure to go both directions with those circles. And then you might find that you've had enough of the ankle circles and you want to try some hip circles. So you might start to circle the thigh bone into the hip socket. And again, you're just doing it very slowly, paying attention to how the body is moving and how you're breathing. And if you went one direction with those hip circles, you might try going the other way. Yeah. And then let's go ahead and come to stillness. Grab your strap and place your strap around the ball of your right foot. And then you're going to, this other side, Barbara. And then you'll go ahead and send your right foot up towards the sky. And for today, we're going to keep the left knee bent as it is. And I want you to first really find a 90-degree angle with that right leg. So having the strap go across the ball of the foot, the right leg is at a 90-degree angle from your torso. And you're just going to push up for dear life through that right heel. Pull down evenly with both ends of the strap. Check in with your shoulders and see if the shoulder blades are still connected to the floor, just like they were a moment ago. And then some of you will stay right here, and some of you will start to Barbie floint your foot up towards the sky. So you'll push into that strap and come to the ball of your foot. And then you'll pull the strap and send the heel a little higher, just finding a little bit of activation happening in the calf and in the back of the leg. And so you'll take about 3 or 4 of those little Barbie floints and then increasing the flexation or flexion in the foot by pulling the strap and flexing, dorsiflexing the foot. Yep. Awesome. We'll do one more set of the little Barbie floints and then the dorsal flexion of the foot. And then stay with the dorsiflexed foot. So just like you're standing on the sky. From here, let's externally rotate that right leg. So draw both ends of the strap now into your right hand and rotate the whole right leg. Open the left arm out to the left. Pay attention to what's happening in your left hip and open the right leg as far to the right as you can without letting the left hip change. And notice what happened to the left foot. Is the left big toe still pressing straight down? And you keep the whole center of the left foot, yep, pressing down as you open the leg to the right. Nice work, guys. And then you just breathe here, press out through your right heel, maybe pull strongly with that right arm so the right leg doesn't topple you to the right. And then as you're ready, inhale and come back up through center. Now bring both ends of the strap back into both hands. Find that 90-degree angle with the right leg once again. So really reaching up through that right heel, and now extend your left leg long beneath you. Now with the left leg long beneath, you find as much activation as in the right leg. So really flex through the left foot, press the left heel down, the left calf down, the left hamstring down. Now draw your right hip away from your right shoulder a bit. Yep. And then just take 3 breaths here, checking in with your face. Did you clench your face as you're reaching up through your leg? Are you clenching the shoulders as you're pulling down with the strap? Fantastic. Draw both ends of the strap into your left hand. Draw your right thumb to your right hip crease. Now you're going to push your right hip away from you as you cross your right leg a few inches over to the left, and you're just going to breathe. So the whole right butt cheek stays on the floor. The right leg crosses a few inches over to the right. You're pressing out through your right heel and noticing what's happening in your hamstring, in your calf of that right leg. Take 2 more breath cycles here. And then go ahead and inhale and come back up through center. Draw both ends of the strap back into your right hand. Draw your left hand onto the top of your left thigh, making the arm super strong and straight. Externally rotate your right leg again. And now you're going to open the right leg as far to the right as you can without letting your hips or anything change on the left side. So you're really pushing your left hand into left thigh, externally rotating in that right leg and opening the right leg as far to the right as you can. And you're breathing and you're reaching out through your right heel as you pull back through your right 4th and 5th toes and big toes. There we go. Nice job. On your next in breath, go ahead and come back through center. As you exhale, bend the knee, draw the strap away from the foot and just hug the right knee into your chest. And go ahead and plant the right foot on the floor. And bend the left knee and plant the left foot next to the right. And just notice what you notice between the sides. So arms off the body if possible, just coming back to that starting position we started with. And notice what you notice. How does the left versus the right side of the body feel? And then as we're ready, we'll try all that on the other side. So draw the left knee into the chest, just a little bit of compression there. Start with taking some little ankle circles, noticing what it feels like to go right and left with that circle of the ankle. And after you've done an equal number of sets each side, you'll check in and see if you're breathing. And then maybe start making some hip circles here. And again, really noticing how it feels to stir the thigh bone into the head of the hip socket. Maybe like scooping out peanut butter from the bottom of a jar, really getting in there and getting the last little bit. And after you've gone both directions, you'll go ahead and come to stillness and center. Draw the strap across the ball of your left foot and send your left foot up towards the sky. And again, we're just finding that 90-degree angle. And then first things first, straighten that left leg as best as you can. Press up through the ball of the foot, the heel of the left foot, and pull down evenly with the strap. Check in with your shoulders and make sure your collarbones are still wide. The shoulder blades are on the back and on the floor. And then if you'd like, you'll take about 3 or 4 Barbie floints. So you'll go into plantar flexion, pressing up through the ball of your foot. And then you'll come into dorsal flexion and pulling down with the strap. And you'll just notice what this feels like as you continue to breathe. Check in with your right hip. Make sure that thigh bone and pelvis is as heavy as the left. Yep. Okay. And then let's go ahead and come to stillness. Draw both ends of the strap into your left hand. Open your right arm out to the right. Externally rotate just your left leg. And keeping the right foot on the floor, open the left leg as far to the left as possible. So we want the right knee to still point straight up, the right big toe mound to still press straight down as the left leg externally rotates and opens to the left. Nice work. Flex through that left foot, pushing out through the ball of the foot. Nice job. On your next in-breath, go ahead and come back up through center. Fantastic. Draw both ends of the strap into both hands. And then from here, go ahead and extend your right leg long beneath you. Flex through the right foot, press down into the right heel, the right calf, the right hamstring. Reach up through the left foot, and then draw your left hip away from you and in towards the inner right thigh. Yeah, fantastic. From here, draw both ends of the strap into your right hand. Draw your left thumb to your left hip crease. Press your left hip away from you even more, and then cross the left leg a few inches over to your right. And you keep pressing your left hip away from you, keeping the left pelvis rooted, reaching out through your left heel, pressing into your left big toe, pinky toe, and just breathe. Notice if your face started to tense up, shoulders started to tense up, and see if you can let them relax. And then as you're ready, you'll inhale and come back through center. Great. Draw both ends of the strap now back into the left hand. Bring your right hand onto the top of the right thigh, making right arm super strong, pressing down on the whole top right thigh. Externally rotate your left leg, and then start to open the left leg out to the left without letting anything tip in the right half of the pelvis. So you'll notice that your left belly has to actually rotate to the right to keep your torso parallel-ish to the floor. Yeah. And then press out through that left heel. Externally rotate that leg so the toes point more towards the floor than your face. Yep. Awesome job. And then as you're ready, you'll inhale and come back up through center. Gently bend the knee, release the strap, hugging the knee into the chest just for a moment. And then go ahead and plant that foot onto the floor. Again, both hands alongside your hips, and then bend the right knee to step next to the left. And then now I want you to take some pelvic rock. So as though you're arching your low back away from the floor and then imprinting the low back into the floor. You'll just do about 4 or 5 of those, arching the low back away from the floor and then curling the tailbone towards the knees, pressing the low back into the floor. And just noticing what that feels like to do that here. Great. And then let's go ahead and come to a still neutral position. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh, actively flex through the foot. Now raise to the ball of your left foot. Yep. And then draw your whole left shin closer to your face. Right foot will come closer to your face. Now pause. Before you grab on, I want you to bring your hands onto the top of your right ankle and right knee. So just push onto your right ankle and right knee. There you go. And you're going to push your left knee into your right ankle. You're going to lightly push your right ankle, right knee into your left thigh, feeling a little bit of stretch that happens there, and see if that feels good to you. If so, you can stay there. Otherwise, thread your hands through the whole of your leg, grab the back of your left thigh. Some of you will then press your right forearm into your right knee and right ankle into the left knee. Some of you will stay there. Some of you will start to straighten your left leg towards the sky and feel what that feels like flexing through the foot. And if you've taken that, you might stay there, or you might re-bend that left knee and notice how that allows you to deepen the stretch in the outer right hip. But you choose and you pay attention to what's happening for you. And you just have one more breath cycle here, softening the shoulders into the floor, really keeping the left hip rooted as much as the right hip. And then very gently, you're going to release your hands. Open the arms out to the side, lower your left foot to the floor, press into your left foot, lift your hips up, slide your butt slightly to the right and put your butt back down. And then allow the whole configuration of the legs to fall towards the left. Now, some of you will stay right here. Some of you will bring your left hand to hold on to your right ankle. Some of you will bring your left hand to press the right thigh away from you in this figure 4 twist. But then you might look over towards your right hand, and you're just pausing here and breathing here, finding a nice gentle stretch happening in the top of the hips. Fantastic. And then as you're ready, you'll gently unwind and come back through center. Re-square the hips, plant the right foot next to the left, and then just take a moment to pause and breathe. Both arms off the body, feeling the shoulder blades spread wide, the collarbones open, the back of the head, back of the pelvis, back of the feet. Nice. And then when you're ready, we'll try all that on the other side. So left ankle crosses over the top of the right thigh, actively flex through that foot. Press to the ball of your right foot and then draw your legs towards your face. From here, you might stay here. You might bring your hands onto the left ankle and left knee, pressing them away as you draw the right knee closer to you. Some of you will thread your hands through the whole of the back of the right leg and hold on to the back of the right leg, pressing left forearm, elbow into left thigh. Some of you will then begin to straighten your right leg up towards the sky, reaching up through the heel and feel what that feels like. Some of you will then deepen this by bending that right knee once again, pressing the right knee into the left ankle, drawing the whole configuration closer to your chest, and you'll pause and you'll breathe there. And wherever you are, I want you to notice where you can soften, where you don't need to do too much effort, where you can keep both butt cheeks pretty evenly rooted as you open that outer left hip. Yep. And then from here, let's gently release our hands, open them out into a T shape. If that right knee is straight, bend the knee, put the foot on the floor, press into your right foot, lift your hips up, slide them to the left, and put your butt back down. And then allow the legs to fall over to the right, staying in that configuration. Here, you might grab onto your left ankle with your right hand. You might bring your right hand into the belly of your left thigh, pressing it away from you. And then you'll rotate your gaze towards the left hand. And then Barbara, can you let that left knee still point out towards the sky? So left sole, yeah, there we go. Just changes the sensation just a bit. Awesome. And then very gently you'll release. You'll inhale and come back to center. Plant both feet on the floor and re-square your hips underneath your shoulders. Fantastic. From here, hands back alongside your hips, feet hip distance apart. And then as you inhale, push through your feet, lift your hips, lift your arms up and over your head to touch the floor behind you. As you exhale, the arms on the floor, slowly lower the spine down bone by bone until your butt touches again. Arms stay on the floor overhead. As you inhale, press up through the feet, lift the hips. And then as you exhale, hands and hips come back to your starting position. And you'll do that 3 more times on your own. So as you inhale, press the feet down, lift the hips, lift the arms up and over your head. As you exhale, keep the arms on the floor, reach out through the fingers and lower the spine back down to the floor. On your next in-breath, you'll inhale, press through the feet, lift the hips. And then as you exhale, hands and hips come back to that starting position. Great. And you just do 2 more times on your own. As best as you can, see if you can really work to find the articulation through the spine so that the arms touch the floor at the height of your bridge pose. And then when you're lowering the spine down bone by bone, you're literally seeing if you can go 1 bone at a time, finding more length in the vertebrae as you do that. Similarly, when you lift the hips up again, you're lifting 1 bone at a time. And then when the hands and the hips come back down, everything comes down together. Great. You have 1 more set on your own. After you complete this last set, which is essentially 4 baby bridges, you'll stay with your hands alongside your hips and we'll all meet up there. Last breath cycle here. Nice work, guys. Fantastic. So once your hands are alongside your hips, let's all pause there. Inhale, push down through your feet, lift your hips up once again. And I want you to walk one shoulder up to that same ear and then wrap it under you, and then walk the other shoulder up towards your ear and wrap it underneath you. Some of you will pull on the outer edges of your mat and stay here. Some of you will interlace your hands underneath you. But bring your awareness back into the back of your head and lightly push the center of your skull down. And see how much of your upper arm you can press down into the floor. Pay attention to your hips and see if both the right and the left hip are equally reaching up towards the sky. And then notice what's happening in your feet. Are the big toe mounds on both feet equally rooted down as you're pressing down through the pinky toes? Now, some of you will continue to just stay here and breathe for the next 6 breath cycles. Some of you will then inhale and press up into the balls of your feet. And then some of you will exhale, keep your hips this high, but lower your heels back down. And so you've got 4 more of those. Inhaling, lifting the hips, lifting the heels, keeping the hips that high, slowly lowering the heels down. Yeah. And you're just slowly pausing and breathing as you work with your legs. Pam, the next time you lower your heels down, try walking your feet in just a couple inches closer to you and see if that helps. No, so sorry, closer to your head. There you go. There we go. And you're just slowly going up and down and noticing what this feels like in your feet. And after you've taken about 3 to 4 of these, we're going to go ahead and pause in our bridge shape. If you walked your feet in, you might need to walk your feet back out, then unclasp your hands, untuck your shoulders, and roll all the way back down. When your pelvis finally hits, let the palms face up, let the shoulder blades splay onto the back and collarbones open. And again, notice what you feel in the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, the back of the hips, and the soles of the feet. Fantastic. Now from here, let's go ahead and walk our feet, or rather, lift your right leg up, cross your right thigh completely over your left thigh like you're wearing a dress. There we go. And we want to be modest in our dress. And then you're going to slowly pull both legs over to your right. If you need to open your arms into a T shape, by all means do that. But you're going to resist as you pull both legs over to the right to find a nice little IT band stretch. You might also feel something stretching across the psoas and up into the abdomen. So you pull with the right leg, resist with the left, and maybe look towards your left hand. Nice work. And just take a couple breath cycles there. And then as you're ready, you'll inhale and gently come back up through center. Uncross the right leg, then cross the left leg up and over. And same thing, this time you'll pull the legs over to the left. You'll resist with the right leg. At the depth of this side body thing, you might then look towards your right hand. You might also need to lift up your left shoulder and slide it more to the left to allow more of the right shoulder to twist to the right, but you'll know for you. Yeah. And then very gently, you'll inhale and come back through center. When you get back to center, uncross the legs, plant both feet, hands alongside the hips, and just notice what it feels like for you to be here, palms facing up. Yeah, great. And then from here, let's draw the right knee into the chest, draw the left knee into the chest. Slide your hands through the inside edges of your thighs, grab the outside edges of your feet and press the soles of your feet towards each other first. And with the soles of the feet pressing into each other, open your knees as wide apart as you can in the Supta Baddha Konasana position. Notice how heavy your butt is. Keep your butt that heavy as you start to open your feet towards the sky for Happy Baby, Ananda Balasana. And notice how it feels in your hips. One hip might feel different than the other. You flex through the feet, and some of you will stay right here, just pulling the hands down against the feet, pushing the feet up into the hands. Some of you might want to play with straightening one leg. Some of you might want to play with straightening the other leg. Some of you might want to try playing with both legs. Wherever you are, your butt's heavy, the shoulders are heavy, the back of the head is heavy, and you are breathing. Nice work. And very gently, you're going to go ahead and release. Come back with knees into chest, Apanasana. And then go ahead and plant your feet on the floor. Last little thing for our hips while we're here. Cross your right thigh completely over your left. Hug your knees into your chest. Now, you can stay here if this is working for you. Some of you will turn your palms to face the sky. You'll reach your right hand for your left heel, your left hand for your right heel. Grab the outside edges of your feet, flex through your feet a lot. And like little elephant Dumbo ears, kick your feet out to the opposite side. So your right foot's going to the left, your left foot's going to the right. You're hugging your knees together as much as you can. You're kicking out through your feet and you're finding a fun stretch, or maybe not so much fun stretch. And then the closer you pull your feet towards your face, the more intense it becomes for your hips. So you mitigate that for you. If it's too much, draw the hips or the heels closer to your hips. If you want more, draw the feet closer to your ears. Yep, and then are you breathing? Fantastic. And then very gently, you'll release that. Uncross the legs, put both feet back onto the floor, and just notice what you notice, right to left. And then as you're ready, we'll try the other side. So now this time the left leg crosses over. You'll hug both knees into your chest. And then turn both palms to face up. Draw the knees into the chest and grab the right foot with the left hand, the left foot with the right hand. Actively flex through both feet, keeping the knees as close towards each other as possible. And then really kicking your feet to the opposite side. So your right foot to the left, left foot to the right. Barbara, can you grab your heels for me? Yeah. And then when you have control of the heels, you can push your heels into your hands and then send them out to touch the opposite walls. And then notice, yeah, what that does in the outer hips. Fantastic. And then very gently, you'll release. Go ahead and plant the feet back on the floor, uncrossing the legs, and just take a moment to pause here. If you want to take those pelvic nutations once again, by all means do that. Okay. And then let's go ahead and come to stillness. Everyone, extend your right arm alongside your ear, roll over onto your right side. Okay. Now, when you make your way onto your right side, look at your right hand, and I want you to crawl your right hand super far away from your head. So right arm super far away from your hand in front of you. Then bend your right elbow and hold your head with your right hand. Now look at your legs beneath you and see if you can straighten both legs and stack your feet underneath your hips underneath your shoulders in line with your head. Your left arm might want to come in front for some balance, but that's up to you. Now flex through both feet and turn them in parallel. So now you're resting on the knife edge of your right foot. Then you will bend your top knee, your left knee, and see if you can take tree pose. So putting that left foot onto the inside edge of your right foot. If your balance is like super stellar, you're like, yeah, look, mom, no hands. You're going to take that left hand away from the floor and bring the left hand to the outside edge of your left knee. You push your left knee into your left hand into your left knee, and suddenly it makes your outer hip work as well as your core work to find some balance. Some of you will stay right there. Some of you will bend that left knee even more, drawing the left knee towards your face, drawing your left hand to the outside edge of your left foot, and maybe reaching the left foot up towards the sky, straightening it into this variation of, well, I guess side plank. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice if your butt has slid back. I notice that it's easier for me to balance if my butt swims back, but if my butt swims forward, then suddenly my core has to work a little bit more. So notice if you're just hanging out there, and if so, try swinging your pelvis a little further forward. There we go. And then very gently, you're going to release that. Draw your left hand back onto the floor in front of you. Bend your left knee. Listen closely. Left knee is going to come onto the floor in front of you. Bend your right knee back behind you. Take your left hand and grab your right foot. Left hand grabs right foot. Fantastic. Then release your right hand. That's the hand underneath your head, so it's long on the floor in front of you. Some of you will stay there. Some of you will reach your right hand forward so it's parallel to your left knee. And then you're going to push into the back of your head, walk your right hand further forward, and rotate your chest up towards the sky. So in yin, this is called cat chasing its tail. From there, the right hand can come onto the top of your left knee, that's the front knee, and then you'll push down into the back of your head, lift your right shoulder, rotate it more towards the right, and now your chest is maybe pointing towards the sky as your spine is twisting and you're holding onto that back left leg. That's a lot of stuff. Nice job, guys and gals. And then you just pause and breathe. And you can find more of a twist by really pushing into the head, lifting the shoulder on the right side, sliding it to the right, and it'll allow the left shoulder to spin more towards the floor. Great. And then we're gently going to come out of this. So you are going to gently release that back leg, release the front knee, and slowly unwind yourself back onto your back. And just take a moment to come back to that starting position we found ourselves in. And just notice how you feel, right to left. Right to left. How do you feel? Fantastic. Okay. And then let's go ahead and try all that on the other side. So extend your left arm alongside your ears. Roll over onto your left side. When you find yourself on your left side, look at your left hand. Walk your left hand as far away from you as possible until you feel a stretch happening in your left armpit. From there, bend your left elbow and hold your head with your left hand. Great. And go ahead and look down at your legs and straighten your legs out beneath you, making sure your head, your shoulders, your hips, your feet are all in one line. And then flex through both feet, making sure the legs are parallel. You might bring the right hand in front of you for a kickstand balance. And then we're going to lift our right leg up, bending the right knee and planting the right foot into the sole, or rather the center of your left thigh. Some of you will stay right here and just push the foot into the thigh into the foot. Some of you will be like, look, Ma, no hands. And you'll release that top hand. So that's your right hand, bringing the right hand to the back of your right knee, pushing the right knee into the right hand into the right knee. And it just gives you a little bit of a balance and course thing having to happen there. Some of you will stay right there. Some of you will start to bend your right knee closer to your face, slide your right hand to the inside edge of your right thigh, grab the outside edge of your right foot, and then you might start to reach your right foot up towards the sky for a variation of, I guess this is called endless ankle pose, but it's also a variation of side plank once we get to a little later on. And you just pause and then notice if your butt swam back, and if so, swim your butt forward by externally rotating your right leg. Yep, fantastic. Very gently, we're going to release the right hand to the floor in front of you. Bend your right knee. Bring your right knee in front of you so it's, pretty much perpendicular to your spine. From here, you're going to bend your back knee. So that is your left knee. Take your right hand and grab your right foot. We're finding a little bit of a happy quad stretch here. And if you're happy there, you stay there. Otherwise, you might extend your left arm long underneath you. Some of you will then sweep your left arm in front of you so it's parallel-ish to your right leg. From there, you'll start to roll on to your back a bit. So you'll push into your head, you'll slide your left shoulder to the left, and then rotate as much of your chest up towards the sky as possible. You might then bring your left hand onto the outside edge of your right thigh. Again, push into the back of your head, slide the left shoulder to the left, the right shoulder to the right, and you've got cat chasing its tail. So there's a spinal twist happening, and you've got a quad stretch happening as well. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And you're pausing and you're breathing. Nice job. And then as you're ready, you're gently going to release all of this. Make your way onto your back. Take a moment to pause. Take a moment to breathe and just notice what you notice here. Okay. Now at this point, I'm going to give you guys options. You might want to use both of your blocks. You might go to the modified shoulder stand that we're going to talk you into, but you choose based upon what feels best to you. So walk your feet in so they're hip distance apart. With your knees bent, hands alongside your hips. Let's go ahead and bend our elbows. So we've got little robot arms and our fingertips are pointing straight up. As you're ready, push down through the feet, push down through the arms and lift your hips high. Fantastic. From here, you're going to press to the balls of your feet. Some of you will walk your feet in a little bit closer towards your face. Some of you will then walk your shoulder blades underneath you even more and see if you can bring your hands underneath your pelvis to hold your hips. If you're like, that is too much, no worries, slide your blocks underneath you. From here, some of you will push down into the forearms and then lift one foot up towards the sky. And then you'll lift the other foot up towards the sky. And then you'll just pause here for a moment. And so your toes are in alignment with your eyeballs. Your hips are back. So we're not in a full shoulder stand. More of our weight is in our hands, and our hands are really holding our pelvis. And then you're reaching up through your feet. And then you'll just pause here for a few breath cycles. And you're noticing what's happening in your head, what's happening in your neck, what's happening in your shoulders. Nice work, guys. And then when you are ready to come down, you will bend one knee. Slowly put that foot on the floor, coming to the ball of the foot, then bending the other knee, putting that foot onto the floor. Then you'll walk your hands out from underneath you, shoulders out, walk your feet out, and slowly roll back down. And then you'll just take a moment to pause, and you'll take a moment to breathe. And you'll just notice palms face up, collarbones open, what it feels like to be in the body now. Great. We're going to do a couple more things before we flip over. So go ahead and walk your feet outside of your hips. Great. And then from here, we're going to let both arms open out into a T shape. And then we're going to let both legs fall over to your right. Now, some of you will stay right here. Some of you will cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. Some of you, for a bit of psoas stretch, will bring your right sole of the foot into the top of your left quadricep. And with your heel close to your pelvis, you can pull your thigh away from you. So Erica, really let the whole sole of the foot plant into the top of the left thigh. So the foot is touching the thigh and it's still opening out. And you're like digging your heel into the left thigh. It just gives you a stretch across the front of the psoas hip flexor area. Great. And then after a couple breath cycles there, you're gently going to release that right foot. And you'll come back up through center. And let's all roll over to one side and come up to sit. And let me show that real quick, because that seems like that instruction was not very clear. So when we do this, if we have our quadricep or our leg is like four sides, we've got the front, we've got the outside, we've got the inside, and then we've got the back. We want to put the foot on the front of the thigh. So when we bend our legs over, the heel is coming close to the pelvis and it's at the top of the thigh, pushing on the front of the thigh. And it's just almost feels like somebody is pulling my whole leg out of my hips, which, because we sit a lot, just feels really nice. So does that make sense, or do we have questions? Okay, let's try it again. It just feels really nice, and considering the irony is Steve asked me to do a whole practice on the back and he's not even here today. Oh man. Okay, so let's try it again. Bend your knees, plant the feet firmly on the floor. Let both legs fall over to the right. And then if you want to, that right heel is going to come to close to the perineum. The right foot is on the sole of, or rather the top of the left thigh. And then you can just lightly push the heel into the thigh and pull it away from you. And then depending upon where your arms are, if they're out to the side, that gives you one sensation. If you reach them alongside your ears, that gives you another. And you're just paying attention to what feels good to you in terms of that stretch happening along your left side body. And then you keep lengthening your left tailbone. Well, you only have one tailbone, but your tailbone down to your left knee. Nice. And then very gently, we're going to release out of this. You'll come back to center, and then you'll try all that on the other side. So the legs now go over to the left. You might stay with just crossing the left ankle over the top of the right thigh. That might be a place to stay there and hang out. You might choose to bring the left sole of the foot onto the top of the right thigh, close to the perineum or the pelvis. And then you really just press the left heel into the thigh. And then notice if you're in that position, what happens with the arms, if they're out to the side versus up and overhead. Where does it feel like for you there's this nice length where then the tailbone can draw down towards your right knee, and you might feel some opening across the right half of the pelvis. Nice work. All right. As you're ready, we're gently going to come out of this. Come back through center. Check in with your pelvis again. So do a few more of those heel rocks. So you just push your feet down to the floor and it rocks your spine up and down. There we go. Cool. And then go ahead and come to stillness when you're ready. And then we're going to open, keep your feet hip distance apart, soles of the feet on the floor, open your knees as far apart as possible, and then close the knees together. And you're just going to do a few of those to realign the hip bones with each other. Okay. Nice work. And after this next set, you'll go ahead and come to stillness. And then let's go ahead and flip over onto our bellies. So as you roll over onto your belly, you'll make there as you'd like to. Let's go ahead and cactus our arms out like a goalpost. Make sure your elbows are in line with your shoulders. And then go ahead and look towards your right hand. Step your right hand and elbow a little bit more towards the right. So just crawl it a little bit toward the right. Great. And then look towards your left elbow. Step your left hand underneath your left elbow. And then you're going to start to push into your left fingertips and start to roll towards the right. And if you push down into your right hand, right elbow, you're going to find a crazy stretch happening across the front of your right chest. Notice what happens if you play with your head, lifting it up, maybe lifting it back, but you're noticing what's happening in that right chest pec region. And then you're breathing and adjusting based upon what feels good to you. Yeah, and that top leg can do whatever it wants. If you want it bent, great. If you want it straight, great. You just do what feels best for you. And then at the end of this next exhalation, you'll gently inhale and come back onto your belly. Continue to look at your left hand for a moment. Slide the left elbow hand out to the left a bit, keeping it bent in that cactus shape. And then look back over to your right hand, step your right hand underneath your elbow, and then start to roll towards your left. And then you'll try all that again on the other side. And so you can really push that left hand, left elbow into the floor. And then notice what happens if you lift your head up and away from the floor. Sometimes it feels nice to lean my head back just a bit because I didn't realize how far forward my head was coming. And you're just paying attention. And then that top leg, the right leg, is doing whatever it needs to. If it's straight, great. If it's bent, great. Like whatever it needs to do. We're just paying attention to what's happening in your left chest region. Nice. And then at the end of this next exhalation, you'll gently release and come back onto your abdomen. Fantastic. From here, let's bring our hands alongside our ribs. Make sure your thumbs are in line with your nipples. Separate your feet about hip distance apart. And we haven't really paid too much attention to your feet yet, but I want you to see if you can spread wide through your toes and press the tops of the toes onto the floor. And then from here, lengthen the tailbone back. Push the hands down, pull heart forward and through, and you can come up to cobra at whatever height you want to, but I want you to take 4 to 5 breaths here, really focusing on pressing the pubic bone down, lengthening the tailbone back, pressing the feet down, tops of the feet down, and finding whatever length you can find in your neck and your upper chest, coming as high as you want. Jenny, draw your chin to your chest just a little bit. Yep. Now see if you can hold your shoulder blades together on your back just a bit more. Yeah, and now lift up. There we go. And then very gently, you'll release down. Okay, on your next in-breath, let's press up to hands and knees. And then you might need to turn around if your bum is towards the camera. There we go. And then when you find yourself in hands and knees, you're just going to take 4 to 5 cats and cows, and you just notice what this feels like. We've done a lot of back bends, surprisingly, considering we were on our back the whole time. But just notice what this feels like here. And you'll just do about 4 more cats and cows, really experiencing what it feels like to round through the spine. Oh, look at that. And what it feels like to arch through the spine. Yeah. Great. And then if you want to take some little side bends, so you look towards one hip or the other hip, you do that. If you want to take some little barrel rolls, you do that. But you've got the next 4 to 5 breaths, just doing whatever feels appropriate for you. Okay. And then let's go ahead and find ourselves into a neutral position. And then walk both knees, ankles, and shins together. Curl all 10 toes under. And then we're going to start to sit back for toe squat. And make sure the pinky toes are tucked under and we're sitting super tall. And then while we're sitting here, we're going to do this twice, so not to worry. While we're sitting here for the first one, I want you to come back to that thing we started with. So I want you to soften the gaze or close the eyes and notice what it feels like to have your head, the backs of the ears over the shoulders over the hips, and just finding that verticality through the spine. And then noticing that you can soften any tension around your neck, around your jaw, around the fronts of the ribs. Fantastic. And we'll just take 2 to 3 more breath cycles here, finding length up the back body, softness in the front body. Okay. And then at the end of your next exhale, let's come forward, tops of the feet to the floor, having a little pitter patter temper tantrum if you'd like. Great. After you've had your temper tantrum, go ahead and come to stillness. Let's separate our feet, or rather our feet and our knees, so our feet and knees are hip distance apart. Then take your right foot over towards your left foot, lift your left foot up, bring the top of the left foot into the arch of your right foot, and then you'll start to press your pelvis back. Now I should have said you can have blocks here if you need to, but we'll start to walk our spines up to vertical for our navicular stretch, and some of you will stay right here. Some of you will lift your left knee up, push your left foot down, and start to drag your left foot towards your right big toe to find a bit of opening happening into the arch of the right foot. Okay. And then we'll gently release that, come forward, and we'll try all that on the other side. So feet and knees hip distance apart. Take your left foot towards the right foot, lift your right foot up. Right foot comes into the sole of the left foot, and then you'll start to walk yourself back. You might stay here. You might start to hover your right knee up, push your right foot down into your left foot and drag it towards your left big toe. Yeah. Okay. And then we'll gently release that and we'll come forward, hands and knees. Toe squat once again. So curl both sets of toes under. Start to walk your pelvis back, knees over hips. Now, this is just a little prep for the next shape that we're going to do. So right hand can come over to the right, left arm reaches up. You're going to take a little side bend up and over to the right. And so you're pushing your right hand down, your right ribs are pushing to your left ribs are pushing to the left. Your left hip is pushing down into your left heel, and you're reaching out through your left fingers to find a nice stretch happening all along the left side body. Awesome sauce. And then you'll reach the left arm up, let it fall to the left, and then reach the right arm up, and then try that to the other side. So again, we're going to push our left fingertips down, the left fingertips push into the left ribs push the left ribs to the right ribs reach up to the sky, reach down into your right hip pushes down into your right heel, and your right fingertips reach over to the left, finding a nice long side body stretch here. Some sauce. And then we'll go ahead and inhale and come up. Come forward, hands and knees, pitter patter your toes. Happy little temper tantrum once again. Da-da-da-da. And then this time, if you'd like, we'll take a counter stretch. So you'll shift your weight back, lifting one end or both knees up and away from the floor, feeling what this feels like on the fronts of the calves, fronts of the shins, fronts of the ankles. Fantastic. Okay. And then lower your knees back down. Some of you might want your blocks, you might not, but they'll be alongside your hips. We're going to stay seated on the tops of our feet for a moment. Okay. And then you're going to bring your hands back behind you. And the first thing that we're going to do is our fingertips are pointing back behind us. Our thumbs are spinning out to the right and to the left respectively. So our thumbs are facing away from us. And you're just going to push down into your hands enough to start to puff up your chest. So it feels like your chest is coming forward like a little flapper girl. You'll feel a stretch happening on the fronts of the chest, the pec. You'll feel some engagement in the backs of the shoulder blades. If you're happy as a clam, you just stay right here. You're like, yep, Jessica, this is great. I got a nice little stretch. My butt is still heavily weighted on my heels. Great. Some of you will stay right there. Some of you will then just push down into the tops of your feet, tops of your shins, lift your hips up a smidge. That will intensify the stretch across your arms. You'll stay there for a couple breath cycles. And then when you're ready, you'll release down. Then you'll come back to sit on top of your shins just for Vajrasana. Take a moment to breathe. We're going to build on that. If that felt okay to you, you're going to do that again. If you'd like to go to the next variation, you'll separate your knees so they're hip distance apart, and then you'll sit back down on your heels. Okay. From here, the hands are a little bit closer towards you. So now you might just be on your fingertips. Push down into the fingertips, draw the shoulder blades together, push your heart and sternum forward, and you might just stay there, heart lifting up. You might start to push down into the shins, so lift your pelvis up and press your pelvis forward. And now we're coming into more of a deeper Ustrasana, surprisingly enough. And then notice what needs to happen with your head. Is your head up towards the sky? Is your chin more towards your chest? After you've taken a few breath cycles there, you'll lower yourself back down. Just on top of your shins, back to Vajrasana. We'll just pause and we'll breathe. That was a pretty deep heart opening. Okay. We're going to do that again. Now, if you want, you can use the blocks. It's just, I have really long arms, so it's easy for me to touch the floor. But if you feel like you need a little bit of assistance, the blocks will be alongside your hips, and they'll be slightly back behind your hips. Fingertips will be pointing backwards, but you choose what works for you. Some of you, if you can touch your feet, your hands will be outside of your feet. And you're going to just do the same thing. Push down, draw the heart forward, the shoulder blades back. And you might just stay there. You might start to push down into the shins, pull your tailbone under, roll your pelvis up, and find yourself in your Ustrasana camel pose. And then you might draw the shoulder blades together even more to take the gaze up to the sky. You might be able to allow your gaze to look back behind you, but you want to make sure that your neck is long wherever you are. And then when you're ready, you're slowly going to come back down out of that. And you'll just sit for a few breath cycles in Vajrasana. That was a pretty deep variation. And so you'll just pause. And then when you're ready, you're going to slide your butt over to the right, swing your legs around in front of you, and just take a simple moment to sit in Sukhasana, cross-legged pose. And when you find yourself there, I do encourage you to remove any of the flesh from outside of your hips. And then I want you to sit as tall as you can, soften the gaze, close the eyes, and plant the hands on top of your thighs, wherever is comfortable for you. And this is the same position that we started in. So notice what it feels like to really root down through the pelvis, really to find weight in the legs. To notice what it feels like to draw the shoulder blade tips over the back of the pelvis. To draw the backs of the ears over the tops of the shoulders. To soften the jaw, to soften the tongue, to soften the eyelids, and just take 3 breaths. How does your spine feel now? Notice if you need to take any audible exhalations. Great. Now, as odd as this sounds, the last shape we're going to take in our practice is actually downward facing dog. So when you're ready, you're going to gently drop your chin towards your chest, open the eyes, crawl yourself forward, and make your way into your downward facing dog. And I want you to just take a few breath cycles once you get there to notice what it feels like. So this is the first time in our practice that we've gone to a downward facing dog. We did all this stuff on our backs. We opened up our legs. We opened up some parts of the side body and the shoulders and the chest. And just notice what your downward facing dog feels like now. See if you can continue to push down and forward through the hands. If you can arch your low back like you've got that, I don't know, little cow shape happening in the pelvis, and lifting up through the armpits and finding extension through the spine. And then after you've had enough breath cycles here in your downward facing dog, you're gently going to bend your knees to the mat. And then you'll make your way forward onto your abdomen. And then you'll make your way onto your abdomen, just to pause there for a few breath cycles. Stack your hands right underneath each other and just take 3 breath cycles. Let the big toes touch, let the heels fall away from each other. And just take these 3 breath cycles here in Nakrasana. Noticing that sometimes it's odd. We have all the tools always available to us, but sometimes we have to reorient them or reconfigure them in order to discover something new. And after you've taken your last exhalation here, if there's any part of you that wants to take Shavasana in Nakrasana today, by all means, you can stay here. Otherwise, you're going to start to make your way onto your back. And as you make your way to whatever your final resting shape may be, if you find that there's something else that your body is still calling for, by all means, go ahead and do that. But we will make our way to our final shape. So whether you stay in Nakrasana, belly breathing into the floor, letting that open up your back, or whether you make your way more to more traditional Shavasana, you do that as well. But then when you get there, I want you to notice, so those that are on your backs, pay attention to how the back of the head feels, the back of the shoulders, the back of the hips, the backs of the legs and the feet. For those that are on your abdomen, notice what it feels like to really allow gravity to help you breathe better here. So noticing where you can release any unnecessary tension around your neck, around your shoulders, around your abdomen. And we'll all complete by just taking about 4 to 5 deep breaths here. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Those that are on your belly, you really just breathe your belly into the floor, letting that inflate your low back. Those that are on your back, you still breathe into your belly, but it has a different sensation. And you will just continue to be here with you as best as you can, letting go of any unnecessary holding so that the spine falls back into its natural curves. so that you fall back into your natural support that is always there. If only we can remember that sometimes, in order to find support, we have to let go. I'll leave you here with yourself and your breath for the next few moments. And when it's time to come out, I will let you know. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. If there's any part of you longing to linger in the shape, by all means, stay here as long as you'd like. When you are ready to move on, I want you to first start to deepen the breath so it feels like the breath is more deep in the body. From there, you'll invite whatever small movement feels appropriate for you. For those that are on the abdomen, you might gently find yourself wanting to wiggle. You might find yourself wanting to press up to a hands and knees and maybe to a child's pose. For those on your backs, you might stretch the arms alongside the ears. Those on your backs will gently start to make your way to one of your sides and pause there for a few breath cycles. Those in the child's pose will slowly start to walk the hands back. And then we'll all slowly make our way up to a seated position when we're ready. And when you do find yourself vertical, I do encourage you to sit on something, whether it's a block, a blanket, And you sit however feels appropriate for you, whether that's Vajrasana, Hero's Pose, Sukhasana, whatever you want to sit in. Just make sure you're sitting on something. And then once you feel settled in your seat, again, remove any flesh if you need to. Feel what it feels like to stack the shoulders over the hips, the ears over the shoulders, to soften any tension around your jaw, your tongue, your mouth, your eyelids. And then you'll turn both palms to face the sky. Tuck your left index finger into the base of your left thumb. Leave it there if you're needing inspiration. Turn it down if you're needing grounding. And then on the right hand, tuck the index finger and middle finger to the base of the hand. Draw the right palm in front of you. Right ring finger comes, or right thumb comes to the outside edge of right nostril. Ring finger to the outside edge of left nostril. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. And then when you need to, you will close your right nostril and inhale just through your left. Top of your inhalation, close your left nostril and exhale out through the right. When you need to, draw the breath back in through your right. Top of your inhalation, close your right and exhale out through your left. It counts as one round of Nadi Shodhana. You'll continue on your own, alternating the breath from left to right and then right to left. And as best as you can, just allow yourself to see how soft you can make this. How tall through the spine, but yet effortless through the spine. How long the breath can be, but in a relaxed type of way. How full the breath can be, but in a gentle type of way. The next time the breath exits out through your left nostril, gently lower your right hand. Again, sit as tall as you can through your spine. And just take 3 breaths here, noticing what you notice. Or can you soften any tension around the shoulders, around the throat, the eyes, the belly? I think it's interesting. I think in many ways, the thing that we most want is the thing that we kind of have to allow in. And sometimes that requires that we do the thing that's the scariest to do, which means we have to let go. We have to trust that those around us can show up for us. We have to trust that we are capable of showing up for ourselves without needing to always over effort or overexert. And so as you leave your practice today and you go back into your life, I want you to notice that one area that might be the very same place where you need to soften a little bit, where you need to let go and trust a little bit more and just see what happens. We'll go ahead and complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. When you're ready, bring the hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of the thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. Soften any tension around the back of your neck and then exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big inhalation through the nose. Audible exhale through the mouth. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And then draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light within me honors and salutes the light within each of you. Namaste.